So they're trying to cancel Metallica. Oh boy. I really didn't want to make this video, but at the same time I figured I needed to say something. So over the past several days, a TikTok has been going around trying to cancel Metallica, pointing out a lot of things they did in the 80s and 90s that they did early on in their career and saying that they're problematic, they should be canceled. When you actually watch the video, a lot of it is poorly researched, and if she actually properly researched like the whole topic of Metallica and was making this video, more than half of the things she covered would have to be removed, because once you learn the context or actually learn facts, then her video would have been a lot shorter. And when you really think about it, a lot of the stuff that was covered in the video have been done by similar metal bands and even other artists outside of metal, or even worse things. But of course, we have to single out Metallica, and of course, all of these different websites have been writing articles about it and propping up and sharing this video. And I was planning on doing a breakdown video covering each thing, but I thought, I don't want to give this person any more attention because the video is just horribly, like I said, researched, and it's embarrassing. There's a few things in her video that I do want to address, but I want to make this very clear. We are all human. None of us are perfect. We've all done things we regret. And I'm telling you right now, anybody you look up to, whether it's a musician, actor, or whatever, I can pretty much guarantee they've all done something wrong, something they regret, that if it was discovered now, they would be canceled for it, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would happen. Because guess what? We're human. We make mistakes. Number one. She goes throughout her whole video claiming Metallica is racist. The whole band is just racist. But yet when you dive into a couple of different things, you realize real quickly that's not true at all. How about the fact that their first actual lead guitar player who played the Hit the Lights guitar solos on the first release of Hit the Lights is Lloyd Grant. And as you can see here, he's playing with Metallica at the 30th anniversary show. And he was brought on early on in Metallica. Of course, he didn't continue on with the band, but you see him there. If Lars Ulrich, James Hetfield, was really racist, would they have played with Lloyd Grant? I don't think they would have, but they did. Kirk Hammett, of course, who replaced Dave Mustaine, who's been with the band pretty much the entirety of their run, is half Filipino. But yes, the band is racist. And I believe Kirk would have left the band if he really thought that James and Lars were racist. If he really thought they were racist, he wouldn't be with the band. Let's talk about the biggest thing here. Rob Trujillo has been their bass player since 2003. A lot of bass players went and auditioned for Metallica back when they were looking for a bass player. They picked Rob over everybody else, and there were so many people that auditioned, yet they picked Rob. If they were really racist, would they have picked Rob? No, they wouldn't have. But guess what? They did. And here's the thing. If Rob found out after the fact that they were racist, because he would know by this point, right? He wouldn't be with them anymore. He would have quit. The second thing that she addresses is that all members of Metallica, except for James Hetfield, she really goes after James Hetfield heavily in this video, saying that all band members, except for James, post about Black Lives Matter. And she said, but of course, James Hetfield, the vocalist, he didn't post about it. Well, if you did any research, takes you 2 seconds to research this, James Hetfield does not use social media anymore. He did a number of years ago, but he has stopped using it for a long, long time. So this idea that James Hetfield just didn't post about it because he's racist, no, he doesn't use social media because he stays away from that. He wants to focus on his life, focus on his family. He doesn't want to deal with social media crap because when he did use it, it was overwhelming and he said, nope, I'm done with this. And he moved on with his life. So that's why he didn't post about it. But if you would have researched that, then you would have understood that. But of course, it fits your narrative to not say, oh, he doesn't use social media. You had to say, well, of course, he didn't post about it because he couldn't, because he didn't use social media. So that's why he didn't. The third thing I want to talk about is Kerry King from Slayer. You're probably wondering, what? Well, she used a photo of James Hetfield along with Kerry King. And of course, she used a photo where Kerry King, of course, didn't have no hair at this point. So she called him a neo-Nazi motherfucker, or whatever she said. She called him something similar to that and said that Kerry King is clearly racist and all this kind of stuff. But if you look into the research of Slayer, the band, you would understand that that's further from the truth. Slayer, the band, has written so many songs against racism. And also, if you look even deeper, Ice-T, we all pretty much know who Ice-T is. Ice-T was inspired by Kerry King and Slayer to create Body Count, his metal band. But of course, yes, Kerry King, he's racist, right? No. The fourth thing I want to talk about is she showed clips of Metallica live on stage, making fun of Lane Staley, of course, from Alice in Chains, who had a drug problem, and making fun of Kurt Cobain's death. Now, obviously, this is pretty messed up shit. They, of course, regretted what they said, but they did say it. But if you want to pull these clips specifically, how about you also point out all the other artists who have attacked other artists and said some pretty horrific shit just like that, maybe even worse. But of course, it doesn't fit your narrative because you're singling out Metallica, so you don't want to pull up all the other times other musicians have attacked other musicians and said some pretty messed up shit. Also, you pulled a clip of Dave Mustaine talking about Kurt Cobain. That's kind of random, like it felt out of nowhere because literally, yes, he was in Metallica for like a second, but yeah, when he made that comment, that was in the 90s, way after the fact he was in Megadeth, so I don't know why you pulled that clip, but okay. We're getting close to the end here. The next thing I want to talk about is something I've never heard of until watching this video. Apparently, it's been rumored that James Hetfield said the N-word back in the 90s, and you know who is backing this story up? Axl Rose. Axl Rose back in the 90s was horrible compared to now. He's definitely bettered himself over the last number of years. But back in the 90s, himself, along with Guns N' Roses, were hated by a lot of people in regards to how they were handling themselves, how they were treating other people. Axl Rose especially was causing a lot of problems, and a lot of people disliked him, and there was a lot of stories about that. So to believe him in corroborating the story over James Hetfield is a little ridiculous. Like, I literally have not heard this story at all. So to say that Axl Rose is backing the story up, like, that actually makes it worse. That actually makes me go, no, this is not true. The final thing I want to talk about in this video is the iron crosses on James Hetfield's guitars. Like I said, she goes after James Hetfield quite a bit in this video. And she's saying that these iron crosses on his guitars are a reference to Nazi Germany. But if you actually do some research, which once again, you did not do your research, iron crosses first appeared in the 1700s, and yes, they're still being used today in regards to Germany. But if you also look into iron crosses and what other ways they could be used, you would also see that a band that Metallica notoriously praises and loves to death is a little known band called Motorhead. And it was a tribute to Motorhead and Lemmy on his guitars, as well as the fact that that symbol is used by bikers. And James Hetfield loves his cars, loves his bikes. He considers himself to be one of them. And so he uses that and puts it on his guitars. But if your response to that is saying, well, clearly that's an issue because all bikers are racist. Once again, you're doing a blanket statement response to try to justify your narrative, because just because a few bikers are racist and a few bike gangs are racist does not mean all of them are. And to say that all of them are, it just goes to show you literally are living in a bubble. You're not living in the real world. You're not actually doing research. You're just trying to fit the narrative you're trying to push. And I'm sorry, it ain't gonna work. One more thing I do want to mention in this video before ending, as I just remembered this, is that she goes on to say that Metallica are not pushing back against Trump supporters, and clearly that means they're supporting racist ideology because they're not pushing back and going against Trump supporters who are Metallica fans. Metallica doesn't want to divide anybody. They don't care where you came from. They don't care who you voted for, because that's what any artist should do. At the end of the day, they want to support and be supportive of all their fans. That doesn't mean that they actually agree with every single thing that their fans align themselves with. That's not the case at all. Metallica are just not going to push back, and they're not going to make a stance like that. That's just how it is. And I understand there's a lot of corporations and a lot of artists that do take a stand against certain ideologies, and that's fine. And Metallica, of course, do take a stand against certain ideologies, but they're not going to sit there and tell people, if you voted for somebody that we don't agree with, or if you did this, then you can't support us no matter what. Metallica are not going to sit there and try to interview everybody to see what they believe in. When you come to a Metallica show, you're part of the Metallica family. And to sit there and say that they're not pushing back against certain ideology, then that clearly means that they're supporting racist ideology and they're supporting all these really bad things. No, that's just fitting your narrative once again. It's once again fitting your narrative. It's ridiculous. Of course, she doesn't mention all the good that Metallica does in regards to their charity work with All Within My Hands, who helps support and feed people. They do a lot of great work and they support a lot of different things, but of course, that doesn't fit her narrative. So of course, she's not going to mention in her video, because then that would look like, oh, well, you're actually playing both sides here. And also, too, just to get a little bit deeper into this, if you actually go onto her Spotify, you'll find where she has Metallica songs in some of her playlist. So there's that. If you're going to go after the band, then don't support them. Simple as that. If you're going to make a video trying to point out all the problems and issues they have, then don't listen to the band. Take them off your Spotify. Don't listen to them, because apparently if you listen to them, oh boy. So yeah, and there's also other bands you have on your list as well that are also have some problems as well. So yeah, just stop listening to music, because I'm telling you, pretty much everybody you're listening to have all done something they shouldn't have done in their past. It's just what it is. At the end of the day, I felt this whole situation was a little ridiculous. Obviously, there's some things in her video that needs to be addressed, and of course they have addressed some of the things they've said and done and they regret. But also too, there's a lot of things in her video that was just horribly researched, because there was no research. It was just fitting whatever her narrative wanted to be. And I'm sorry, it's just not going to work. You cannot sit there and lie, because now these people have believed her lie. And it's a little ridiculous. There's some things, of course, in that video that needs to be addressed, or they have mentioned that they backtrack on. They don't agree with it. It is what it is. We all have those things that are there that we have to, grow from. It just is what it is. And that's really it, guys. We're all human. We all make mistakes. And to sit there and say that you're perfect, you never done anything wrong, is horseshit. It's lies. It's all a lie. We've all done something. And to single out a particular band when there's far worse stuff that's been said by other musicians and other artists, it just kind of goes to show how little ridiculous this is. This should not have gotten attention at all. It really shouldn't have. It really shouldn't have. Just my opinion. Talk to you guys soon. Peace out.